5 rounds into the 2025 season, the marriage of Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari already feels less like a fairy tale revival and more like an awkward first dance. In Jeddah, the 7-time champion laboured to 7th, while new championship leader Oscar Piastri took a 3rd victory. Charles Leclerc salvaged the Scuderia's first podium of the year, and Max Verstappen added yet another penalty-laden subplot. The numbers on the timing sheets, the voices crackling over team radio, and Frédéric Vasseur's blunt debriefs combined to show a partnership skating on thin ice. Hamilton's Saudi weekend began with a bruising 13th in second practice, and a frank admission that Saturdays usually get worse. When qualifying ended, he had clawed back to P7 with a 1:28.2, still 0.6 seconds slower than Leclerc's 4th place effort, and 0.9 seconds adrift of Verstappen's pole. Worse, Ferrari engineers told him he hemorrhaged 7/10 in Sector 1 alone, drawing that one word "geez" heard round the paddock. On race night, the deficit crystallised. After 50 laps, Hamilton finished 7th, never once lapping within half a second of the leaders. Numbers may be cold, but their verdict is unmistakable. Mid-FP3, Hamilton's engineer recited the gap. Hamilton exhaled, not in anger, but disbelief. That fleeting syllable said what 10 press releases could not. The intuitive feel that carried him to 103 victories is missing. He later told reporters he'd felt progress in Bahrain, only to discover it evaporated overnight. Drivers often mask frustration, yet the public candour suggests deeper unease. For a legend built on relentless self-belief, admitting uncertainty is seismic. When confidence cracks, lap time usually follows. Team boss Frédéric Vasseur faced microphones minutes after the flag and skipped the usual corporate cushioning. The SF-25, he said, doesn't speak Lewis's language yet, insisting the puzzle is philosophical, not procedural. No quick setup swing or lucky safety car strategy will paper over the mismatch. Vasseur reminded media that Hamilton is still unlearning Mercedes' reflexes, yet his tone suggested impatience. Ferrari sits 4th in the constructors' table on 78 points, already 110 behind surging McLaren. Hamilton didn't join Ferrari for podium scraps, he came for an 8th crown. Yet after Saudi Arabia, he sits 7th in the standings on 33 points, 66 behind the brilliantly composed Piastri, whose 99-point haul makes him the first Australian to lead F1 since Mark Webber in 2010. Sponsors sent a narrative flip. The heir apparent wears papaya, not scarlet. Each muted Ferrari Sunday sharpens a question no one dared utter last August. Did Hamilton gamble one season too late? McLaren's leap and 4 wins in 5 races propels them to 180 constructor points and a 77-point cushion over Mercedes. Norris's resilient 4th after a Q3 shunt and Piastri's flawless win highlight a squad converting every marginal gain. Contrast that with Ferrari. 2 drivers, 1 podium, a car that behaves like 2 different chassis. In post-race briefings, McLaren mechanics called their Jeddah upgrade plug and play, an unsubtle dig at the Ferrari's struggles. What bruises most in Maranello is not just losing, it's watching an old midfield rival make dominance look simple. With the budget cap, freezing wind tunnel hours and Miami upgrades already in production, Ferrari faces a forked road. Stay the course and risk months of data that leave Hamilton adrift, or pivot to geometry that suits his aggressive trail brake style, potentially throwing away previous correlation work. Vasseur hinted the team may reprioritise rear suspension targets, code for costly new parts. Technical director Enrico Cardiel, however, warns against reactive design whiplash. The clock ticks. 19 races remain, but every fortnight spent searching is lost championship ground. Cockpit temperatures touched 35 degrees C, pushing drivers' core temperatures toward critical thresholds. Hamilton's physio, Angela Cullen, returned trackside to manage hydration protocols, an unusual mid-season intervention for a veteran famed for fitness. With in-car cooling vests delayed until 2026, Ferrari opts for lighter fireproofs and electrolyte slushies between grid calls. Heat is the same for all, but in a car that already feels unpredictable, thermal fatigue magnifies every flaw. Hamilton quipped, "Hard to bond with a car when you're frying inside it." Humour, yes, but stress lines show. In his Mercedes years, starting P7 usually signalled a strategic masterclass to the front. At Jeddah, 7th was a ceiling, not a springboard. Hamilton spent 25 laps stuck behind Antonelli's Mercedes, escaping only when blue flags forced a gap. Post-race data shows he averaged 315 km per hour on the main straight, 3 km per hour slower than Antonelli, despite identical Ferrari power units in the Williams ahead. Straight line drag from the SF-25's chunky beam wing costs 0.15 seconds alone. These are compounding margins that talent can no longer rinse away. 2 weeks from now, the circus lands in Miami. Short apexes, long traction zones, swampy humidity. Ferrari modelling suggests the SF-25 will like the slower hairpins, but only if a revised rear ride height package arrives on time. Hamilton publicly welcomed that gamble, telling F1 TV he needs the car to talk back before the European leg. Privately, insiders say both driver and Team Imola, 3 races away, as the real litmus test. Fail there and Ferrari may shift 2025 resources to 2026's chassis. Such early surrender would be unthinkable in Maranello law, yet the possibility now lingers. Jeddah's desert lights revealed far more than Oscar Piastri's surge to the summit. They cast a harsh glare on the uneasy bond between Lewis Hamilton and the Ferrari SF-25. The stopwatch may show tenths, but beneath those digits lies something immeasurable. The synergy between a driver who has conquered every era of modern Formula One and a car that refuses to yield to his instincts. Lap time can be mined through lighter beam wings and clever diffusers, but trust is forged only in the furnace of shared triumphs. And right now, that alloy feels dangerously brittle. If Maranello's engineers can realign balance sheets with balance shifts, delivering the rear ride height tweak Hamilton craves, then the Scarlet Machine could yet rejoin the title narrative. Ferrari's wind tunnel data suggests untapped potential in slower, traction-heavy corners, the kind Miami and Imola will serve in spades. Should those updates click, the paddock will be reminded just how swiftly a 7-time champion can turn momentum on its head, and the championship script will require a hastily written new chapter. Leave the fissures unchecked, however, and 2025 may be etched in memory not for an 8th crown, but for a sobering lesson. Even the greatest talent cannot subdue a chassis that won't listen. Such a failure would ripple beyond Hamilton's legacy. It would question Ferrari's developmental compass, embolden McLaren's orange resurgence, and invite Mercedes to reclaim lost territory. Sponsors would shuffle budgets, young drivers would eye vacant seats, and the Tifosi's patience, already thin, could fracture entirely. Every sector split from Miami onward will function like a heartbeat monitor for this partnership. Green mini-sectors will signal revival. Lingering yellows will hint at decay. By the time the European summer begins, we will know whether Ferrari and Hamilton have reforged that critical bond, or whether we are witnessing the moment a legend discovers that destiny, even in racing red, can be as unforgiving as it is alluring. For now, the sport holds its breath, waiting to see which story the next lap writes.